Moving on, public forum. First we have Mr. Rick Freeman.
Yes, I would like to, excuse me. I got two quick things there. Number one is, I still think everybody at the tables needs to be using the microphones that we paid for so that we can hear what's being said. And the second thing is, I've been up here on a couple different occasions, and there's been a non-employee, but a former employee, going from office to office and doing things. And I just don't think that's right that a non-employee is in the city offices doing work. And I would like an explanation as why that is and why it's allowed.
Noted on the microphones, Rick, and we'll take it under advisement as far as non-employees in the office. The commissioners are aware of what that particular person is doing, and I don't think any additional justification is required at this point.
But that's, to me, that would be like me coming in and just going in there and looking at whatever I want to look at.
And if you were in here with the permission of the city staff and doing things that have been approved by the city staff, then I would agree with you.
I absolutely do not think it's right. I just want that.
So noted. Do you have anything else, Mr. Rick?
No, that's just those two items. I mean, we paid for the microphones and they're still not getting used, and it's kind of discouraging that we wasted that money.
Next, we have Natasha Barnett, Land Bank Budget.
Hi guys. We got the budget put in the paper for our hearing. It's actually set for our next land bank meeting. When I spoke to the county treasurer, she told me that she prefers that we have the majority of the commissioner signatures too on top of our board. I know she called Brenda and talked to Brenda. So I guess I'm just here to see if I can maybe get one or two signatures that aren't on my land bank board. That way when we do have our meeting, I have that, and then we can put all of ours and send it off right away. Because I'll have two commissioners on there.
I will not be there on Tuesday when you guys do that.
Okay, so I need the majority of it. We're gonna have to sign it too once we approve it, but I don't wanna have to wait a week to bring it back and then get a signature before I can send it off to county. So that's kind of all I need.
Okay. Noted.
Here, I will give this to you.
DJ, you know you're on the list twice?
Okay, first thing I want to talk about is the condition of the building. I believe the address is 14 West Walnut, better known by everybody as the old taco shop. This was brought before the commission about 6 months ago. It's got holes in the roof. It's going to develop into another mini mall. I understand I was not at the meeting where the owners came in and said that, hey, we're going to fix it. If you go over there and look in the windows during daylight, you can see light in the back of the building. There are no windows in the back portion of the building at all. No way for that light to be getting into the building other than through a hole in the roof. And looking at the front of it, just about the entire drop ceiling and everything has gotten wet. You can see the water stains of the tiles as they're laying on the floor. It's a mold, you can smell mold in the area. It's developing into another mini mall. Something needs to be done. Okay. Like I say, brought before the commissioner about 6 months ago, once before.
Scott, you want to bring us up to date on the taco stop?
I did talk to the current owner tonight. Right now, him and his brother are working on a materials list to go to 2 different vendors and get quotes on the materials for the roof. That's where I am right now on this. working diligently on it, about as much as I can do. If I don't see progress in the future, then we'll end up going to court.
Have they been previously served a letter, or where are they at right now?
The verbal letter I gave him, I should say handwritten, was sufficed, because that's when they came in here and addressed the city commission.
Right.
So the certified letter has not gone to them.
Okay.
Okay, second thing, we're going back and doing a search for a city manager again. Last time we did this, I also brought it up, and I forget the website, I recorded it at that time. However, there are agencies out there where it will send what you are looking for an employee out across the United States. And I think we need to look into something like that, maybe along with the League of Kansas Municipalities, what they do for us, but get it out there, because we don't need to keep the, shall I say, the job hiring strictly to this. We could get somebody that's young, energetic, possibly coming out of school, that meets all our qualifications and may do us a better job.
When we
And
use,
if you need the website.
I will say that when we used the league last time, and this time we didn't use the full league LEAPS program, we used the LEAPS, whatever it's called. But we had literally resumes from Maine to Oregon and everywhere in between. I can testify it goes out all over the country.
Yeah,
We do get resumes from all over,
okay.
so.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Thanks, DJ. Mr. Jim Dougherty.
I wanted to ask a few questions about nuisances and construction debris and things like that. I received a letter and I had a nice conversation with Scott. There was a couple of questions that I didn't answer because, well, I wasn't thinking of them at the time, but I have a copy of the code book that I bought, I don't know, 4 years ago, but I couldn't find anything in there that explained or who decided what was a nuisance and what was a fire hazard and those kind of things, and was wondering how Scott arrives at that, whether he's directed, is there a complaint, or does he drive around and look for things, or how does that work exactly?
As far as how things come to his attention, I think it would be a combination of those driving around and observing, and also addresses and specific locations that are reported to him or that are seen by other city workers, brought to his attention by one of the commissioners through a variety of sources. As far as how he enforces or what he is enforcing, that code is approved and passed by this commission.
Yeah.
We establish standards, and then our code enforcement officer goes out and enforces the
Meets
codes.
those
Yes,
standards.
sir.
Okay. I have, in my particular case, I had asked about a building permit before the last building inspector was changed, and he told me that what I wanted to build, a 5-foot setback would be satisfactory. And I started gathering building material and stacked it in my backyard. Wait until I got everything I needed before I started construction. And since then, things have changed, and Scott tells me that my setback has to be 10 feet, and that I have to go for a variance and unexpected cost for that. And I'm just wondering when the code got changed, or if the code got changed from that 5 foot, because I I didn't see it anywhere in my old code book,
It's a user.
and,
Well, and those are good points, and the code has not changed.
Okay.
5 foot was never the setback, well, at least not in recent memory.
yeah,
That setback requirement has not changed. We have had changes in how we were writing building permits
yeah.
because it needed to change how we were writing building permits. And there is a variance process that exists specifically for cases where if you've got an existing structure that's coming down to get rebuilt and it's already setting within the established setback, things like that that maybe make sense,
Well,
but there's
at
still a
one
process.
time, before I bought the house, there was a garage
Mhm.
that sat back there, and it sat right on the property line, and it got torn down.
Mhm.
For whatever reason, I wasn't around when that happened. And the pictures that your aerial map show, that garage is still sitting there, and it's sitting on the property line, but it's not there no more. And what I wanted to go back with, and I'll go through the variance process and explain that, but I wasn't sure who decided what, and just thought I'd come and ask some questions.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And keep in mind that those code requirements are not specific to Herington. We didn't make them up. That's established code that we have adopted from much higher level. And if you go to other communities, you're going to see pretty much the same
Yeah.
codes.
I think the only one that really concerned me was the fire hazard part of the letter that I got, and the lumber that I have is stacked. It's not scattered all over the yard. I have it in different piles due to 2x4 or 2x6,
Right.
and I didn't understand the fire code, but
Did you ask Scott about that?
I did, and Scott said he wasn't gonna do anything about it until I went through the variance, and he denied my building permit,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where it stands right now. So, I'll go through the variance process. I just wanted to ask some questions of the board as to
Yes,
how
sir.
things work, more or less.
And I am sorry that you were given inaccurate information before, but if you would please follow through the variance process.
Yeah.
I think you'll find the process does in fact work.
Yeah, I know it works.
It just takes a little bit of time.
Been retired from the business, so
Anybody else have anything to add?
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Additional agenda items. And I make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Discussion. Brenda?
Commissioner Hart?
Aye.
Commissioner Nessler? Aye. Commissioner Nader?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Mr. Buck Driggs, water plant. How we doing, Buck?
Good, are you?
Wonderful, trying not to blow away.
Yeah, no kidding, good luck with that. So we've been working on the water treatment plant, I think, for almost a couple of months now. I think we're quite there. Well, under contract, I guess, by design, but, yeah, that's probably bad now. It's like a first year update, I guess, but, with that, we have completed the whole topographic survey of the existing plant. We have completed all the environmental review of the existing building. We also have done all the geotech work needed for the project. We've got both the environmental report and the geotech report completed in a draft format that we're currently reviewing. A couple things to note, really as far as the geotech, wasn't anything we really were surprised by, with the exception maybe there was a little bit of a smell of some diesel in one of the holes. So I'm guessing it was kind of in the area where the old tanks used to sit for the generators and whatnot, so we may have to do a little bit of remediation as a part of our project with that. I don't envision it being anything significant, but maybe is gonna have to be something to look at. As far as the building, actually it came out probably cleaner than my gut was telling me. Really, it was pretty much the basic stuff, the fluorescent light bulbs, there was some VCT tile in there, it had asbestos in it, there was a little bit of some wrapping on some pipe that we'll need to take care of. And then the windows, the old windows have some lead in them, I believe, that we'll have to deal with, but, yeah, I don't know. But, so really pretty common things for, a building of that nature and whatnot, and we'll address those with our demo. There's a couple different options we can look at. We can either do it before we hire the demo contractor or as a part of the demo package. So we'll get into that a little bit more as we get further into things. We are working through the electrical building right now. We've got a footprint. We were asked through our kickoff meeting to make that building a little bit bigger than what we had originally had in our master plan, about 4 or 5 feet bigger to accommodate, I think, future generators. Is that kind of what generators? We've done that, and we've actually ran the numbers, and I think we're still probably within our budget. We've got a little less contingency left, but I think it fits fine. We're looking at putting in a metal stud type building that's got the insulated panels, and will have some nice finishes on the inside so that, you know, things can be wiped down, cleaned up real nice and neat. It doesn't require painting, anything like that. So fairly maintenance free. So that's where we're headed with that. We're meeting with city staff on Friday to kind of go over some of the ozone equipment. Kind of probably bring some other stuff to go along to talk about as well. But we have got a generic layout of the future building. Kind of working through a few things, but I think we're getting pretty close on having the floor plan of that set up. And then what else do we have? It's been busy. The electrical side of things, there's a couple things we'll need to kind of maneuver through. I think there's 2 parts of it, and this part of it, as you recall, is not under the KDHE loan package. And I think Ed might have started some stuff before he left about trying to find a temporary financing mechanism to pay for that until the USDA loan kicks in. So we might check to see where that's at and whether that got completed and whether that's something that's going to be available to us. We are looking at probably bidding something the first part of June, if not a little earlier. I think we're ahead of schedule right now. So as far as that electrical package, we also have got a general price from Mid-States Electrical to relocate that power. I had him go ahead and put that in a formal quote, and I'll bring it back to you guys for consideration. I did talk with USDA. We don't have to go through a selection process or do a bid or anything on that. If that's somebody that you want to use, which I think is probably in your best interest because they know your system, then we can just move forward with hiring them to do that work. We have worked with them throughout the building concept phase, trying to figure out what they want, where they need conduits, you know, where the switchgear are going to go. So I feel pretty good about that. So I think that project's going along pretty well. We just need to make sure we have money in place for the construction side of it. I did talk with Chelsea today, and they're still waiting on their allotment of money for this year. The government keeps passing, I'm calling just incremental fixes or extensions, and she still don't know what money she's got to play with this coming next year. So we might have to, her and I talked though, we really don't need their funds until probably a year and a half from now, so we're probably okay, but she just wants us to realize that if by some chance something happens through the funding, that we could be in jeopardy. I think it's a long shot. We have anything to worry about, but I think she's just covering her hiney a little bit on the deal. So we do have temporary financing, so KDHE will pay for it. We're working with Brendan to get those submittals and stuff in on bills and stuff now. So we're meeting with ozone equipment manufacturers on Friday, and then I think Wednesday of next week, 9th and the 13th. So we'll be looking and talking to some vendors about their products and trying to figure out what works best for the city of Herington. We'll do the one we select. We'll do a pilot project with your water, see how it fits and what the ratings are for it and so forth. So a lot going on, but I think we're doing pretty well. I intend to put together a formal schedule. I've been waiting until we had a meeting with KDHE so I could get an understanding of what their timelines are as far as the review process. And we did that yesterday. Chad Lawson and I both met with Dan Clare at KDHE, but we struggled to pin him down on how long they were going to take to review our stuff. So he said 8 to 10 weeks, but on plant projects sometimes it's a little bit longer. So we will program in 8 to 10 weeks of review time for them throughout the process. So It'll probably eat up everything that we're ahead of schedule.
Right.
But, other than that, I guess, I think we're in pretty good shape.
Okay, did I see that there was a change to the agreement that we need to approve?
Yes, the next item on your agenda is an amendment, or I think that's the official term, an amendment to the contract. This is amendment number 2. Amendment number 1 was actually just incorporating in all the USDA language as far as Buy American Steel and all the things that we have to do as your engineer to make sure your project meets the Buy USA type stuff. The second half of this amendment number 2 is KDHE's revolving loan paperwork that pretty much is the same thing. What they want to see as an amendment to this contract as well. So there is no cost associated with that, at least from an engineering standpoint. I think a lot of it's overlapped from what you've already approved, but they want their forms in the contracts that you've got their funding. So
Looking at it, a lot of it's just that we won't lobby and we won't discriminate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty basic, broad.
Yeah. There's nothing that really changes our project, so, it's just something we gotta go through in order for us to check off the box on the loan stuff, so.
With the changes that we're going through on the project, is that moving the needle on the dollar figure? I know we had talked about there was gonna be some loan forgiveness in there and
Yep,
really trying to safeguard that because we're gonna need it in the future
it's there.
for the next project.
We made the maintenance bill, or the electrical bill a little bit bigger, and I think we're okay. I think it was in, I have contingencies, you know, on things, and I think that 5 foot of extra building was right there in the contingency. As long as we don't have anything that jumps up and gets us, we'll be fine. We did, look at making some additions to the new building. I think we're still working through that floor plan, but so far, square footages are about where they need to be. So I think we went a little bigger, and now we're doing that. So right now, I think we're fine as far as the building. Now, if there's other things that we want to do as far as go in and do some maintenance to the clear wells, I think you and I talked about that, David, at one time, didn't we? And there's probably another list of a few things that we want to incorporate. Well, those were never in our
Right.
budget for the project. So at some point, I think, well, at our kickoff meeting we had about a month ago, David and his group is gonna kind of put together maybe a list for us to start putting some pricing to, and then bring to you guys and say which ones are a priority. Do you wanna do it, do you not? And then give us some direction on how you'd like to proceed. So we'll talk with them again on that about Friday, and I'll bring that information back and kind of see where we wanna go. But right now, I think with the buildings that we've got, and we've met most of that, all of their needs that they've requested, and stayed within the footprint of what we needed, so for what we've budgeted, so I think we're okay. Now, if you guys wanna do more, that $1 million, then that discussion needs to happen, but soon. But I
We want to do more, just on another project.
That's fine, yeah. Yep.
We do this one first, then we go to the next one.
Yes.
Yep, I hear there's wastewater issues that
Yes.
and I've been hearing this for a while, but
And it's
I
not
really
going to
wanted
go
to
away.
get, I really wanted to get this one going before we started having that going on as well. But the good news is your loan package shouldn't be, I mean, the rates and stuff, I know Brenda and I were talking about rates and stuff a little bit a couple weeks ago, and you know, from what we projected, with $1 million, that helps you out.
Anybody else have anything for Buck? Anything for us?
Nope, I think
Good.
we'll keep plugging ahead. Find us
Thanks.
some money for the electrical building if it isn't there. If we gotta do something with that, let me know. Yeah.
You put that on your list, Brad?
Didn't we
Yeah, I
approve,
saw him write it down.
didn't we, I think we approved some stuff already for the, okay.
There were conversations, and that's about as far as that's
Okay, I
gone.
thought I was here one night when Ed wasn't, and you approved something.
Maybe, we'll see.
Look into it, if you need something, let me know.
Happy, joy.
I said Brad's face.
Number 8, consider the amendment number 2, water treatment plant engineering services contract.
I move that we approve amendment number 2, water treatment plant engineering services contract, and authorize Dave Jones, Herington Mayor, to sign.
Second.
Discussion. Brenda?
Commissioner Hux.
Aye.
Commissioner Nestle. Aye. Commissioner Hager.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Presentation of the League of Kansas Municipalities City Manager Search.
Good evening. My name is Red Morton with the League of Kansas Municipalities, and along with my colleague Nikki Erickson, we would like to thank you, Mayor and Commission, for inviting us out to present on our executive search program.
Is the microphone on?
Am I not talking loud enough? I'm sorry. I can be very quiet. At your places, we've put packets, and in your packet, you'll see our proposal letter, proposal pamphlet, as well as some artifacts and examples of what we've done for other cities. What I'll be presenting on tonight is outlined on the second page of your proposal pamphlet, if you would like to follow along. First, our executive search program is designed specifically to help cities find great leaders. Each step in our process has been geared towards what makes a city manager fit with your community. The League has successfully placed over 70 executives around Kansas, and the success comes from our familiarity with regional executives, our time spent getting to know the community and the candidates, our experience and our understanding of the services, skills, and specific needs that are unique to the operation of your city. We have designed a recruiting process that allows us to help guide the city through a search from the ad development to interviewing the candidates. So we'll be with you every step of the way. To start off that process, we will be administering 2 surveys to the governing body. The first one is an administrative process survey, and this is simply to gather information and have you tell us how you want this process to go. So you get a choice of different interview processes, you get a choice of what's important to you in terms of timeline and moving forward just administratively. The second survey we call the candidate survey, and that's where each member anonymously gets to tell us what is important to them in the candidate that they are looking for. Whether that's years of experience, level of education, knowledge, skills, abilities, personal or character traits, as well as, I'm trying to think what else is on there. Just a variety of things that go into designing the recruitment process, which involves an advertisement as well as a community profile that will go out on all the platforms. We do provide a list of advertising platforms that span state, regional, and national job boards. And you will get to look at that list prior to us posting anything, and we'll approve where you want your ad placed. We will make recommendations based on your answers in the candidate survey for what you're looking for in a candidate, on which job boards are more likely to produce that pool of desirable candidates. But again, everything will be reviewed and approved by you prior to being posted. After that, we will help you in terms of the selection process. So all of the resumes for the candidates come to us. And we have a ranking committee and a ranking rubric. So we take what you've told us in the candidate survey, we put it into a rubric, and then each candidate is scored along that ranking scale so that your top candidates will become evident. Then we'll come down for a meeting and we'll present your top candidates to you and answer any questions that you have about what's in their resumes and what's in their cover letters and talk through that decision with you. Once that decision has been made of who you would like to interview, we will help you with the interview process by providing questions that will help you get the answers that you're looking for, as well as the flow and facilitation of that process. The only thing that the League does not offer is negotiation on final contracts. We do, however, present a template, but we refer to your city attorney for that process. Is there any questions or anything I can answer?
There are a couple samples in the packet of what we put together for some other communities, just to give you an idea of the type of information we include.
See, the advertisement price got a range of $900 to $1,600, based upon regional or nationwide or frequency of advertisement?
Correct. It also depends on word count. Again, you'll get to approve the actual advertisement that gets posted. But some of the more national platforms are a little bit more expensive. Also, certain state municipal leagues that we post at, if they have a very prominent career center, they tend to be a little bit more expensive, but they do produce really well-rounded candidates.
Comments or recommendations, Mr. Brad?
Nope, familiar with this process. Have been through it before.
You've been through it before with other cities?
Really, really loud.
Is it loud now?
Yes.
I'll begin speaking from back. Actually, why don't I just move this away from me?
Why not turn that down and continue to mumble?
Because we actually like to do it.
Now I gotta move it back closer to me. Comments? Input, Brenda?
Is the contract in here? Or did you bring a contract?
We did bring a copy of the contract. I believe your city attorney, Mr. Gant, has it.
Okay.
I did want to add one comment. The total process takes between 60 and 90 days from the time we sign a contract till typically somebody comes on board. So just to give you an idea.
Do you have that much hair, Brenda?
I do. You're not allowed to quit. Everybody's patient.
And for the other three commissioners, we used the Leaps Light or whatever they called it last time. And they did a great job organizing the resumes, ranking the resumes. And it was a huge number of resumes we got last time. And
What's
it was
this?
very eye-opening.
What was the difference between Leaps and Leaps Light, I guess?
Leaps Light, we did the advertising, we did a lot more of the work. And we took almost a year in the process.
I would suggest we let them do it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. I'm just curious what the difference
Because
was.
I was in on that.
Yeah, the Leaps, Brenda had to do a lot on the Leaps Light.
And I don't know that that's even offered anymore, is it?
We no longer offer that service. We're finding that cities have troubles.
Yeah,
to
it
get
took almost a
permits.
year because of not using.
She's doing 2 jobs now. I don't
I
think.
say, we don't need to wait a year.
Brenda
Not
will
big
be
projects.
alive.
In addition, we are with you every step of the way, so if you have any questions or you need an update, you can just email either Nikki or myself, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can.
I make a motion, we approve a contract for the League of Kansas Municipalities for the city manager's search. And
Second.
authorize Dave Jones, city mayor, to sign said contract.
Second.
Discussion. Brenda?
Commissioner Hawks?
Aye.
Commissioner Nestor? Aye. Commissioner Hager?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. For the public, just your information, the cost of the contract is $4,394.58. I know you were interested, Rick.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Number 11, KMEA presentations.
Hello. My name is Tom Saida, and I'm the Director of Electric Services at KBA, Electric Operations at KBA. And Paul Wahlberg, he's our General Manager at KBA. Typically, Jerry Beaker would come out, and Jerry is our Manager of Member Services. And unfortunately, he's in Mexico right now. So you kind of got the A minus. I'm not going to say B, I'm going to say A minus.
We're still on the A rank, so we're good.
I don't
I
like
was
to
gonna
give
say,
you-
why are we here?
I don't know how to
He's
get
in
that
Mexico,
stupid thing on.
Robin's in Jamaica.
There you go. There you go. We didn't put this together as a specific presentation because we wanted to listen to what you wanted to talk about. And if you have any questions you want to talk to us about, feel free to just kind of ask us. Hopefully, between the two of us, we can answer anything you have. Just in a general sense, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what KMEA is and what services we provide. I'll talk a little bit about some of the different projects that we do, and then I think I'm going to wrap it up with really the last piece, which is you're a member of a couple projects that we're in right now, but mainly SPA and and WAPA. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about those. So if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you want to go a different direction, just say, Tom, stop. Because I'm really good at stopping. KMEA was established in about 1980. And, well, is that correct? It's correct. It's correct. By state statute, which was a few years prior. And we're a nonprofit joint action agency in the state of Kansas. The only thing we do is we handle energy supply and services for municipal cities in the state of Kansas. That is all we do. We have 78, 79 members, and we do various services for that 78, 79 members. We have probably 37 of them that we do full supply, where we take care of all their energy needs, and we build them, and we provide all the services for implementing all those contracts, their portfolio of capacity that they have. And we're also their transmission provider. We purchase their transmission through Southwest Power Pool for them. So we do everything for them. And that's, like I said, in the 30s type numbers. Then it goes down to, we have some cities that, quite frankly, we don't do a lot of services for. They are members of KMEA, and we represent them in Topeka. We represent them at Southwest Power Pool. We represent them in any way they would like us to represent them. And we actually have a fiscal responsibility program which will evaluate your fiscal utility and kind of give you a report on. We have a utility, I don't know what you'd call it. We have a utility evaluation, which we can send people out and we'll do an evaluation of utility and kind of give you some areas that maybe might need to be improved. We have a loan program for some equipment that you can borrow some equipment like infrared cameras or different things like that, and you can use those too. So those are all kind of different services, different things we can do for you. The bread and butter, the majority of what those 30 plus cities that we do everything for, we typically, we have them grouped into projects. So we have, I think, 4 different projects. We have an EMP1, which is in the Kansas City Power and Light area, which has 7 municipal cities in it. They have about a load of about 104, 105 megawatts as an aggregate, and we manage all their energy needs, and they have a piece of GRDA, they have some OPPD, which is Omaha Public Power District. They have some SPA also, Southwestern Power Administration. And then they have some WAPA, Western Area Power Administration. So they have some federal hydro type projects, and then they also have some energy from investor-owned utilities, and some energy from other kind of governmental type agency like GRDA. So we have projects broken out specifically for what that group wants. We also have wind that we purchase for them, and they have part of a combined cycle, different cities within that group. We have our EMP2 group, which is really on the far other side of the state, which is it's Sunflower Electric is where that group is, and we have around 13 municipal cities in that group. And that load is around 160 megawatts. That's a good sized utility when you kind of put it in, when they get aggregated together. When we aggregate cities together, we have more power when it goes to negotiating contracts. So if I have a 160 megawatt load in western Kansas, and I need to buy a wind farm, part of a wind farm, I can negotiate 40 megawatts of a wind farm instead of a half a megawatt of a wind farm. So I can do a better job negotiating on moving that for you. That's one of the benefits we see. Their portfolio is a little bit different than EMP1 because they have different needs and different desires when performers. Our EMP3 group, which is in Western Resources, which is kind of where you are. We have, I believe we have 12 cities, 11 or 12 cities. There you go. We keep adding them. We started out with 9 in that group, and we've incrementally added more cities every year since then, as cities' contracts have expired. We've brought them in. And we went from, some of those cities are full requirement cities, meaning that they don't have internal generation, and some of them are partial requirements, cities that have capacity internal. So the way our pools work, the cities that have excess capacity typically sell it to the cities that don't have capacity. They don't have capacity, and it's a good marriage because that capacity was kind of stranded, quite frankly, at the city level. So they have an opportunity to sell it within the pool, and so that's how that works. Is there any other questions about that, or can I move into like the WAPA and the SPA?
Please.
You've had a WAPA install location for quite a while. Those have not been recent that you just got them, but the way that you can qualify as a B city, and we'll hold that allocation for you, and it's still your allocation, but we'll hold it for you. I don't want to say indefinitely, but for a very long period of time. So in this case, I think you've had those allocations for probably greater than 5 years, probably closer to 10 years on at least the spot. So just for what it's worth. This is kind of an estimate of what your costs have been. For us to supply you with your WAPA and your SPA, specifically your WAPA allocation, we had to be your transmission provider. Transmission is, you typically bought it through Westar, and it is a pass-through. There's not one company that can get a different price than another company. You have a specific amount of load, which your load is around 5.2 megawatts. The cost for that is pretty much, it's exactly defined by Southwest Power for what it's going to be, which is defined by Westar, which is what they charge for. So us being your transmission customer or Westar being your transmission customer does not change the cost of that transmission or any distribution access cost that you might have. There's usually a wholesale distribution access charge that you also pay. But those costs are, quite frankly, they always used to call it when Paul and I were in earlier parts of our career, kind of a Chinese wall between the transmission side and distribution side and the generation side. Really, those two sides are not connected at all. So the price you pay on the transmission is the exact same price that you would pay to Westar. When you look at this, you'll see that if you kind of follow along on the costs associated with it, in October, your transmission falls off that you need from Westar, and it doesn't pick up yet till the following month from us. That's because of the delay that Southwest Power Pool has, the way they do it, the way they account for things. But so that $25,808 you see in November, and I think it's carried over pretty close to the same exact number in December. That's what you would have been billed at through Westar had you not been billed at through us. So here's where the savings come in, and you've saved $35,000 the first month, $9,500 the second month, and $13,000 the third month in December. The saving comes in because if you look in red, that line in red, that is the portion of demand that you're buying through us now. That's the portion of your capacity requirement that you're purchasing. So you have to purchase capacity and energy and transmission. Those are really the three components to what you have to purchase. Transmission doesn't change. The energy, quite frankly, it's a little bit different energy, but it's kind of, I'm going to call that irrelevant. I don't even want to confuse the issue talking about the energy. The savings that you see are related to your capacity. And it's because the tariff rate for your product you're buying through Westar is $22.32 a kW a month. 22, and that number is multiplied by how much capacity you're purchasing from them. When you decrement that capacity by purchasing 927 kW through us, the value that we charge you for it is, I don't even know that I have it on here, it's around $5. So that's the difference. $22 compared to $5, that's $7 times 1,000, that's $17,000 a month is what your average savings is going to be, $17,000 a month. That's not quite what this looks like here. It's a bigger than that number the first month, and then a little smaller than that month the second and third month. And the bigger number the first month is because that transmission carryover issue, and the smaller number the second and third month are because when you start up a project with us, typically there's like a first month prepay on the project, and there's some other kind of initial charges for setting everything up, and that got spread over those first 3 months. So you still have quite a big savings, but as you move into January, February going forward, you should be seeing close to that $17,000 a month. So I hope that answers what the value of this project has been for you, because we do feel that it's a very strong project and it's worked out very well. The WAPA project that you're a member of, and I think you did extend, it actually runs through 2054. Doesn't the federal hydro These federal hydro projects are they're highly sought after by municipal cities because it gives you a kind of a discounted capacity charge and a fixed energy charge, which is really very, very competitive out below where the market is. So highly sought after. So that one runs through 2054. Now the spa, pardon me, I believe it runs through 2019, but there's an extension that's being worked through and Neil Dane, one of the other folks within our group, we're working on an extension with that organization to get that for another 10 to 15 years, whatever term I think 15 years is what they're requiring. So we're working on an extension on that project. So with that, we're open to answering any questions you have.
Well, and I think that was really the original question from us is, we knew that spa and walk were going to be good things, we were going to have a cost savings, but we were having a hard time quantifying and figuring out exactly budgetary, when we start looking at 2019 and 2020 budget development, what does this really mean?
Yeah. And we can help you a little bit out with the forward budget. We put together a budget every year, and we can give you all the information we have for that budget for those projects on what you're going to be seeing. The other confusing piece of this one was, unless you specifically looked at it and realized that the transmission portion now was added onto ours, and it was now decremented from the Western Resources piece. Well, you have to realize you're not being charged the Western Resources, and that's a net zero on that one piece. It's the savings in the project.
Right.
So, in any case, that's what we wanted to communicate, and hopefully it makes sense.
That absolutely does right there. So that'll be a great help when we start looking at the 2019 budget development.
And just to kind of put in a plug for KDA, we act as we like to consider ourselves a consultant for cities. So when you're looking at a new power supply, include us to help you out and to give you some, to tell you at least a little bit about what's going on within that market, because things have been changing that fairly quickly. We had come out here, I think, many years ago and had spoken to y'all, so it's been a while.
Any questions for Tom?
That was coincidental.
Well, this coincidental peak. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
Coincidental peak. Coincident with Westar.
Okay.
So when Westar has a peak and your peak is the same, whenever that peak is, that's coincident.
Okay.
Non-coincident would be you may peak at 3 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, and it may not. If they're not peaking, you may have a fair in town. You may have something going on where your load is 10% higher than what it normally is. It's your highest peak of the day and your highest peak of a whole month. But Westar's peak, they're governed by all their cities and all their industrial and everything they have going on. That's really going to be the driver of when that peak is. So that will be the coincidental peak. Really, whenever their peak is going to be the coincidental peak.
You don't mesh, that's inconsequential.
If you don't know, it's inconsequential. Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
And it's going to be better for you because by definition, your load, if it's not a coincidental, your load is lower than
That's what I was
what your other peak would be.
That's
So it's a better peak.
I just want to add one other thing one of the things we're working on. We have, I think there's 7 other cities like Herington as members of ours where there are full requirements of Westar. And during this Westar KCP&L merger, we've been talking to KCP&L and Westar about providing some kind of relief on their charges. And nothing guaranteed, but hopefully maybe in a month we'll be coming back to you with an opportunity. It's just an opportunity where potentially you can save some money. Working through KMEA with this proposal that we're working with that group. So can't go into any details because it's highly confidential, but maybe we'll be back here in a month or so, giving you an opportunity to lower your costs.
Sounds good. We'd love to have you.
I think on the spa, I received an email, they were asking if cities were interested in it.
Yes.
So I guess that's one thing that I'm gonna need to know if you guys are interested in that, if you want me to, because I haven't let you know anything yet. Because I kind of wanted to wait.
And we can be back out on that issue
as well,
specifically as well on the extension. We've got 17 cities that are in the in that spa project that we'll be reaching out to whether they want to extend or not. You know, for the most part, I think our recommendation is going to be go ahead and extend it, but
What would be the downside? Why would we not?
I thought we would,
right.
but I wanted them to be able to talk to you if you had any questions, because I won't be able to answer them.
For a full requirement city,
It makes total
there's
sense.
really, I don't see that.
The cities that have enough capacity today without spa, you know, some of them are thinking about releasing that because they don't actually need it, but full requirements customer makes a lot of sense, so. But we can be back out here to explain that
Is
extension.
there a deadline that you needed to know if we were
We'll
in on
mark
it?
you down as a yes, there's no
Thank you.
commitment,
Okay.
but we'll mark you down at, yeah, you're
We're
yes
interested.
until
Okay.
you have to make that decision. Obviously, we'll come back with a contract that you go through and so
Okay.
forth.
And I have a question about WAPA B, because it's my understanding it doesn't exist anymore, is that right? I mean, basically, it's, the finances are there. So is WAPA the same as WAPA B, like when you're doing projects, you can request funding? Is it the same thing or not? Because WAPA B, you can do that, you can request funding for projects,
Yeah, and
if you're a member of it,
the money that funded the WAPA B
right?
was because of folks like you that weren't taking your WAPA allocations.
Right.
And that allocation was being resold to other member cities at a 10% premium. And that 10% markup went into that WAPA B fund, of which you as a city could draw upon.
Right.
So to the extent that we don't have any WAPA B cities, there's no
There's two.
money in that. Okay, well, there's very little, it's a very small number.
Right.
I'm not specifically sure what Sam has done with that little
They're
bit.
trying to tie that up to kind of close that WAPA B thing down, so it's
Well, I
gonna be
know we
around
had
for a
put
little
in a
while.
request
Yeah,
for some funding to
okay.
help us with the project, and we're still waiting to hear on that.
We will get back to you on that.
That would be great.
Rather than try to answer that. Sam is our guy.
Okay, so I didn't know Sam was the contact, so
Yeah, and if you know Sam, but we'll
I don't, but
we'll reach out to Sam and we'll have Sam call you, Brenda.
thank you.
We usually bring in places and everybody knows.
Okay. I managed
Former state trooper, so he knows everybody in the state.
it. He doesn't
I
know
swear.
me.
It's like a medicine.
Now, if you're standing next to your truck, he might.
Might, but I would appreciate you.
You bet.
Dave, what do we not know